all the black people. And please welcome to the stage One Club Director of Diversity, Tracy Smith.
That was funny. I wasn't, right? It was a little weird because I'm like standing right there and I'm like, you see me, right? Yay. Welcome everybody to this year's Here Are All the Black People. Let's hear it. You made it. You know, the One Club, each year we work with some of the best agencies in the world. And we are so thrilled to be able to offer this opportunity to all of you to really interface with some of the best talent and the best agencies and the best creatives that they're here to support you. And I can't think of a better way to do it than to have all of you get here. You know, we work with you each year and try to get your books reviewed and everything done. It's one of the best events that we do each year. So I want to thank each of you because I know many of you have traveled from really, really, really far places to be here this morning. And I've heard some of your, Yalitza, I see you. And I've heard some of your stories, and just thank you so much for supporting this each year. You know, this morning we're starting out, or at least I'm starting out, with so much gratitude in my heart because the industry has decided that they're going to take a stance and that they're going to find the best multicultural talent and hire you. How cool is that? Are you ready to be hired? And so we're just thrilled that we're able to bring everybody into this venue each year and offer you this opportunity. It's one of the best things, and I hope that you're all here to take full advantage of it because I know that the agencies who are here to recruit and to work with you, they're all dedicating their time and volunteering their time to be here today. So take absolute full advantage of it because they're ready for you. I'm going to start out doing something that I usually do at the end. And the only reason I'm starting it out in the morning is because so many of our agencies are in the room, and I just want to embarrass a few people. Is that okay if I do that? So I'm going to start. I don't know if Felicia Geiger, but these are the agencies who have sponsored us this year, and these are people who support us. Felicia Geiger of Deutsch, amazing, yes, let's hear it for her. Ed Huerta is here. Ed, I see you over there with Kristen of Carmichael Lynch. Let's hear it for Ed, huge supporter. Donna Pedro and Paola of Ogilvy, let's hear it for them. Debbie Bogdanos, Michelle Bolonowski, Brandon's here from Leo. Where are you, Brandon? He's somewhere. Let's hear it for Leo Burnett. Mary Sai Kukul, I saw her. Mary, where are you? She's here. Ah, there's Mary. Mary and I talk every day. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, FCB. I want to thank Della De La Fuente of KBS. Della's probably not here yet because her panelist goes on later, but Della, thank you. Susan Gazzotti of Hill Holiday. Thank you, Susan. Give me an uproar for her. Ronnie Dickerson, thank you. Ronnie Dickerson of Digitas LBI. We love you, Ronnie. I think she's on her honeymoon. She got married. Isn't that nice? David Lubars of BBDO. Okay, CCO, yeah, exactly. Let's give a big woo, because he's going to be on the panel. And he's, you know, he's their CEO, CCO, and chairman, worldwide chairman. He's amazing. So thank you, David. Minerva Garcia, Jennifer Novak, DDB, where are you? They're in here. I want to thank PJ Pierre of Pierre Odell, Linda Waste, and Warren. Where's Warren? I told him to come in here. He's over there somewhere. There you are, Warren. Apple's in the house this year. Yay! Thank you, guys. Thanks, Warren. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you, but oh well. Josh Janicek of Arnold. This is Arnold's first year. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for your support. Sally Mars of McCann. Simhar Tesfaye of Publicis. They're here today. Steve oh, there you are. Hey. Let's give her a round of applause. Steve Sandstrom of Sandstrom & Partners. I love Steve. Kedma Brown. Where's Kedma? Is she here yet? She's probably not here yet. Of Saatchi. Kedma, every time I call her, she's like, of course we're doing it. Like, it's almost indignant. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry I asked. Sorry. Yay, Kedma. Tiffany Edwards, I saw her walk in the room. She's trying to hide. Ad Club, in part. Thanks, Tiffany. I love you. Shannon Moorman, who I love. Where's Shannon? GSD&M, thank you. She brought Jake. Jake's like the coolest dude ever. Austin, all the time, you're great. All right, Media Bistro and Nancy Tagg of the City College of New York. Okay, that's it. Woo! That is it. You know, and I also feel that it's very important to acknowledge all of my colleagues, most of whom you've met. But the One Club, again, they work tirelessly to put this together each year, and we're really thrilled that our team steps up and does what they do. So our CEO, Mary Warlick, President Kevin Swampiel, he's here, Allison Bourdon, Louis Rawlings, Lucy Lopez, Emily Grothier, Jonathan Jurgis, who's on the camera, Chris Bell, who is amazing, Emily Isovich, amazing, David Jackson, who's doing our social media, Yash Shigami, Carrie Cummings, Pablo Andro, Crystal Ray, Ali Oberhan, Adam Cohen, Will Schminke, Tara Rodriguez, Robert Shryock, Bob Fagan, who's going to be taking your profile portraits, so please get your portraits taken for your brand today, and Carol. And please, let's thank everyone involved with putting this event together today. Okay, so we're excited because, I don't know, how many of you know Issa Rae? She's amazing, right? And, you know, when we thought about keynote speakers this year, we thought, well, who can we get who is a peer to most of you? She's young, she's a woman, she's a writer, director, producer, actress, and soon-to-be author. How crazy is that? I feel like an underachiever when I stand next to her. It's really embarrassing. Those of you who know her probably know her from Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl, right? Well, Issa has done so many amazing things in her young and early career. She's about to launch a sitcom, a comedy on HBO. She's working with Shonda Rhimes, who, if you guys know, she's Grey's Anatomy and Scandal, and she's creator of that. So she's putting together a TV series for ABC. And she's writing a book. And she's got other projects going on. So I want you guys to show Issa incredible love because she flew in from LA last night just to be here to share her story with you. So please, welcome Issa Rae.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to speak to you today, and I want to thank Tracy for the wonderful introduction. So yeah, you guys are going to be future advertisers. You're going to shape the messages that influence American culture for years to come. So I'm super excited to be talking to you, and I'm mostly excited to be talking to you because you'll have access to brands and money, and I need that. So. Today I was asked to speak about my journey and my path and my goals and basically what I'm doing with my life that's worth speaking about. What do I have to offer? Who am I? And I'll start. First, I consider myself to be a very open-minded person. I don't judge, but I poke fun. I'm ignorant about a lot of things, but I'm always ready to learn something new. I listen to NPR's Terry Gross and 2 Chainz. And I can get along with almost anyone. And so I was caught off guard when last year I was blocked on Twitter by a disabled white stripper. It was the night of the Grammys, and I had just left a get-together and was kind of tipsy, so I was in a self-deprecating mood. After watching the many talented performers and dancers throughout the night, I was just feeling lackluster. And anyone who knows me personally, and sometimes even from afar, knows that I cannot dance. It's like a sad part of my existence. No matter how many twerk team videos I watch on YouTube, I just can't isolate my butt in a way that rappers would find acceptable. And that bothers me, it's unfair. So with this fresh on my mind, I tweeted, "Sometimes I really wish I was a stripper, but a respectable one. I would start off wearing pantsuits and dance to Queen Latifah's UNITY. And that's it. And that was a tweet that was earnest and really harmless in my mind. So moments later when I got home, I scrolled my mentions and I was chuckling at the other rhythmless girls who felt my sentiments. And then one tweet stood out to me. It read, "Wow, how brave. Not like all us gross, disrespectable sex workers." The hostility slapped me in the face. So I decided to check out her timeline to see what she was going through, how my tweet may have offended her. And I read several tweets about how much she hates people and how tired she is of everyone oppressing sex workers in our culture. I read multiple posts about how she was suffering from insomnia as well. As I continued to read through her hatred of all things human, I just knew that surely she couldn't be placing me in this category of hate. She must have been sleep deprived and misunderstood my tweet. So I responded, "We should talk about this in the morning when you get some sleep, Grumpy McGrumperson." And then she promptly responded, "We should talk about this when you get some empathy, you whorephobic a-hole." Ooh, okay. And that's when all hell and confusion broke loose, because I could have sworn that what I did was literally the definition of social media empathy. I looked at her timeline, saw that she was sleep deprived, and responded to her. But apparently it was insensitive empathy, if that exists, which it does now because I just made it exist. And then she blocked me and publicly added me to her ever-growing list of people that she hates. She compared the oppression of being a disabled sex worker to the oppression of being a person of color. "What is the difference between my oppression and your oppression?" she asked. At first I was amused. What an extremely unpleasant and delusional stripper, I thought. Does she make the people she entertains feel guilty for enjoying themselves too? I mean, geez. I went to bed that night thinking, I doubt I could have learned any twerk team tips from her anyway. And then the more I thought about it over and over again the next couple of days, the more her offense and her general anger started to bother me. Why was she so mad? What was it about what I said that had triggered her? And what did we have in common, if anything? As I perused her timeline from another unblocked account, I noticed how upset she was about the representation of sex workers, as she called them, in the media. In all, it just seemed like she wanted an accurate, fair representation of her field of work, as opposed to continuing to be the butt of the joke in television and film. At the very core of her anger was a desire to see a respectable reflection of herself. I immediately thought about my absolute favorite Gino Diaz quote. He said, "You guys know about vampires? You know vampires have no reflections in a mirror. There's this idea that monsters don't have reflections in a mirror. And what I've always thought isn't that monsters don't have reflections in a mirror, it's that if you want to make a human being into a monster, deny them at the cultural level any reflection of themselves. And growing up, I felt like a monster in some ways. I didn't see myself reflected at all. I was like, yo, is something wrong with me? That the whole society seems to think that people like me don't exist? And part of what inspired me was this deep desire that before I died, I would make a couple of mirrors. That I would make some mirrors so that kids like me might see themselves reflected back and might not feel so monstrous for it." Isn't that quote just like amazing? Don't you guys wish you had asked him to speak instead of me? He was busy. But unlike Juno, I grew up during the golden age of 90s television. And I can't tell you what a huge and amazing influence it was to have an array of diverse options to watch almost every night of the week. The Cosby Show was a variation of my own family with my doctor dad and my teacher mom and my 4 siblings. A Different World made me want to go to college and talk about smart black people stuff and find my own Dwayne Wayne. The 90s produced The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, All That, Living Single, Kenan and Kel, New York Undercover, Martin, All-American Girl, Moesha, Family Matters. Does anybody know what the hell happened to Judy? Like, she went upstairs and she just got grounded for life. Anyway, 90s television produced a plethora of images of people of color, and don't even get me started on all the different film options we had. It was encouraging. In the 90s, we were relatable, and studios and audiences alike cared about what we had to say. But then several years later, when cable exploded with its own original content and film studios started to obsess over international box office sales, somewhere along the line, we became unrelatable and invisible. Our images and diverse portrayals just weren't worth the dollars and effort anymore. The images I'd grown up with and grown so accustomed to seeing slowly disappeared, and it seemed to all happen at once. As a young black woman growing up in predominantly diverse Potomac, Maryland, these shows were my access to black culture in some ways. When I moved to LA and the kids said I talked white and had nappy hair, I was comforted in knowing that Freddie from A Different World and Sinclair from Living Single were napped out too. I could be worse things. Right around the time I moved to LA, my passion for writing increased. My friends in Maryland would send me emails asking me if I was famous yet because they thought I lived in Hollywood, and it didn't help that I told them I lived in Hollywood. Also around that time, the new Cosby Show came out on CBS. Being that I related to the first, I was 11 and unaware that I needed an agent or manager to submit on my behalf, but I had my grandmother who had my back, so I was good. And my grandmother, who happens to be very computer savvy, gave me unlimited access to her MacBook and helped to proofread my script. I wrote a cover letter about how much I enjoyed CBS's programming at the time, and I never heard back. So I continued middle school, content that I had tried, and optimistic that I'd have another shot in the future. In high school, I developed a new love, acting. I went to a predominantly black and Latino high school in Compton, and outside of television, this was my true immersion in black culture. I had an amazing drama teacher, a Jewish man who found the most amazing hidden plays of color. There was On Strivers Row, a play about an upper middle class black family in Harlem, and Maricela de la Luz Lights the World, a Latino fanciful and mystical drama written by Jose Rivera, and so much more. Every year for 4 years, I was introduced to new diverse works, all while co-starring with multicultural cast members. I only wish that Hollywood could take a lesson from Compton. It actually took me seeing the film Love and Basketball to realize how deprived of content of color I was. Love and Basketball, which was written and directed and produced by Gina Prince Bythewood, a phenomenal woman of color, made me think that I could take a shot at being a filmmaker, that I could follow in her footsteps. By the time I got to college, reality television had taken over. Shows like Flavor of Love and I Love New York paved the way for the trashy, raunchy depictions of women of color we see in some of the shows that are popular today. And by the time college hit, I'd already gotten used to seeing only positive depictions of people of color in very rare glimpses. And since high school, my sensibilities were more geared towards shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Office, Seinfeld, and 30 Rock, all of which were generally devoid of people of color. That we really didn't exist in some of the shows that I loved took its toll on me. As the negative portrayal of women in reality television broadened in limitations, I grew angry and impatient. How hard is it to portray a three-dimensional woman of color on TV and film? I'm surrounded by them, they're my friends. Are we a joke to them? Why won't Hollywood acknowledge us? So I decided to stop being upset and do something about it. I created my first web series my senior year of college, and it was called Dorm Diaries. It was a satirical look at what it was like to be black at Stanford. I cast my friends and I shared it on Facebook, and the school's response was amazing. It even spread to universities like Duke, Harvard, and Howard, where people exclaimed, "Oh my God, this is my college experience." I couldn't believe that I had created a show that black college students across the country were relating to. And most of all, I couldn't believe that I had managed to turn my Facebook and YouTube procrastination into a way of doing something productive that I love. I didn't get the chance to finish the series before I graduated from college, but in my mind, I had a strong creative resume. I had produced and directed 4 theatrical plays in college. I had created this viral web series, which only averaged like 700 views per episode. And lastly, I received a fellowship from the Joseph Papp Public Theater to work in New York as an associate producer intern. When I moved to New York, I had a plan. I was gonna pursue theater and film and try to shop Dorm Diaries around, and I was gonna get my show on television. But the feedback from some of the executives I met with said everything short of "it's too black," or even one executive who said that nobody wanted to watch a show about black people in college. Anyway, I kept getting told to change this or do this or wait, and it really forced me to take a step back and realize that a lot of these people, these executives, these gatekeepers, were just in my way. I decided that I would work to build my own audience so that I wouldn't have to rely on the distribution of these gatekeepers. And I decided I would move back to LA, where I knew I had more resources at my disposal. actually came up with the idea for the misadventures of Awkward Black Girl while I was in New York. It took me 2 years to produce the first episode because I kept making excuses about why I couldn't properly execute it. When I got to LA, I wasn't necessarily just wasting time though. I was taking classes, I was taking these film business classes, and it was in one of those classes that I got the best affirmation of my life. This CBS executive came in, and he was talking about how so many networks were looking for online for content for their networks. And he talked about this web series called We Need Girlfriends, and that they had just produced it for like $2 million. And it was hard to hear anything after $2 million, but I did manage to make out his advice. He said, if you're a director or a writer, join up with other actors or writers and put your videos online because we're looking. And so I immediately text my little brother and his group members because I just directed a music video for a song of theirs that had gotten a lot of internet attention. Their comedic chemistry was amazing, and I told them that I wanted to create another mockumentary-style show about their attempts to make it in the LA music industry. And they were down. It was as simple as that. So I treated my new web series like a job, where I would skip out on hanging with friends to edit, and I was really determined to stick to a consistent release schedule. I wanted to treat it like television. And the guys and I worked really well together. We averaged around 5,000 to 10,000 views per episode over the course of a year, and it really taught me a lot about the web world. And it felt really good building my audience from the ground up. But around this time in my life, I was 2 years out of college, and I felt like I had nothing to show for it. My best friends were in law school and med school or working for major companies, and it was really hard around the holidays when we'd meet up, and everybody would be talking about their accomplishments after Stanford, and I'd be like, I'm making YouTube videos, you guys. After a while, my pride started becoming an excuse. I went through that thing that all artists go through where I wondered if I was even talented enough to make a living off of my work. At the same time, I still had this idea lingering in the back of my head for ABG, Awkward Black Girl, that I'd been sitting on this entire time. I wanted to make it an animated web series, but I didn't have the money. I got a new job and I didn't have the time. I didn't have the actors. What I had was an abundance of excuses. It wasn't until a friend sent me an article in which the author asked, where is the Black Liz Lemon? Or as I saw it, where is Awkward Black Girl? That I decided to get the ball rolling and make it happen. I was motivated by fear. What if someone else reads this article and they don't have excuses? I couldn't chance that. I decided to list the reasons why I felt like I couldn't make the series happen, and then figured out the ways that I could circumvent these issues. I turned my list of I don't haves into a list of I haves, and my I can'ts became I cans, and I went from there. I owned a camera, I owned a computer, I owned editing software, I owned the internet, I owned friends, I owned $25 to buy them lunch. I can do this. And that's what it took to create my first episode. The response since then has been amazing, and I haven't looked back since. Now we have girls, the new girl, two broke girls, and what do they all have in common? The universal term girl is white. In all of these 3 successful series, a default girl is implied and she is white. I have a strong desire to change that, and thanks to social media, it's super possible. Twitter and Facebook have changed the way we communicate and interact. YouTube has revolutionized content creation. And if it weren't for YouTube, I would still be at studios trying to convince executives that awkward black girls really do exist. If it weren't for YouTube, I would have been indefinitely discouraged by the network executive who suggested that actress, video girl, Lil Wayne's baby mother, Lauren London would be a great fit for awkward black girl. If it weren't for social media, I don't know that we would even be a full-form blip on the radar. If it weren't for internet forums and fan pages, communities of dark women wouldn't be empowered by their natural hair, and a media society that tells them their hair should be straightened and their skin should be lighter. Online content and new media have changed our communities and have changed demand and accessibility of content. And at the end of the day, it's really up to us to support and promote and create the images that we want to see. I could have said that 10 years ago and it would have been nearly impossible. But today, with ever-evolving new accessible technologies, there's so many opportunities to reclaim our images. Just yesterday, I launched a new initiative called Color Creative TV, that has a mission statement of promoting writers and diverse writers and women and content creators of color, because I want to change the television landscape. And we just launched it yesterday, and that mission statement will continue to hold true for me. And that just happened just because I was tired of the representation. I was just a clumsy, awkward black girl looking for confirmation that I was not alone. No, I didn't think I was a monster or a vampire, it wasn't that deep. But at some level, as each new model for social media strives to connect us in new, ironically estranged ways, there exists a core human desire to feel included. Whether you're an awkward black girl or an irritated, disabled white stripper, everyone should have the chance to feel represented in some way. Thank you guys so much. Tracy, did you want me to take questions?
Yes, please. And if anyone has questions, we have 2 mics on the side, each side of the floor. Please stand up and ask us your questions now.
Oh.
Hi, how are you? I was really inspired by your speech, so thank you. Other than what you spoke of, us being represented in media, basically, what are the sort of topics or things that need to be addressed in general media for our people, whether they be black or millennials or women or girls of natural hair, whatever? Like, what else needs to be spoken on a mainstream level?
I mean, I think that just comes down to authenticity. I think you guys in your various shapes, ages, backgrounds will all come from a place of authenticity and from a place that will be relatable to other viewers, other users, whoever your audience is. And so I think it's just so important to get into that as opposed to thinking of what is the mainstream, what is the most popular thing, what is going to attract the most eyeballs. And I know that that's important in your field, but I think that we're absolutely drawn to what is tangible and what is relatable and what we feel, where we can feel included. And so it really just depends on your experience. Authenticity is just so, so important.
How you doing, Issa?
Hey.
I just want to say first and foremost, I love ABG. It's so funny.
Thank you.
Your speech was so eloquent and comedic.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I was so happy to see your name on the guest speaker. I'm like, I know this is going to be hilarious. But I do want to know what you're working on HBO with Shonda Rhimes, because I know she's working on a lot of different projects right now. Could you just briefly explain like some synopsis of some of the show, of what it would be about and like when it's premiering?
Sure. So the show I was working with Shonda Rhimes was called I Hate LA Dudes for ABC. And it's very factual. But that was an amazing experience. She gave me my first opportunity to write for television. But at the end of the day, ABC passed on the project. And so when that door closed, the HBO door opened, and I'm still working with them on a series called Nonprofit, which is closer to my life, and it's about a girl who works at a nonprofit organization by day and aspires to be a rapper by night.
Are you the star?
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Are you starring as that girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I love it. You're an inspiration to youth and black people, general people.
Thank you.
Just for starting your own entity as your own voice, and I really commend you for that.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for the kind words.
Hello, Miss Lisa. How are you?
Hey, good.
Good. My name is Ashley Chase, and your speech really inspired me. And it's funny you said that because I am a girl that do work at a nonprofit organization.
You know this struggle.
I'm not seeking to be a rapper, but I do think I can rap sometimes. So I just wanted to say on your media, I feel like that's a great decision, to change the media because, what's rating now is like Love and Hip Hop and, I watch it, I like it.
I do too.
I find it very entertaining. My TV stays on 74, like BET or MTV all day. Like, I don't watch no other channel, sorry to say, but morning, noon, and night. But I've really had some main points on social media because I actually wrote a speech about, like, different main points, and the 3 was, like, the positive, the negatives, and the truth. So, as far as the negatives, I just feel like we should just take all of that and, like, twist it to be the truth. As far as, like, how different messages you receive back and forth. How young girls these days is just going back and forth on the internet, as far as being negative, but we should just send messages going back and forth to, like, build a whole impact on life and the importance, black facts, or, hey, did you know, send a message on a fact, did you know this, did you know that? We should just make that, like a big brand instead of, like, sending messages, oh, you heard about him, or, did you see the boy the other night? So, I just feel like you're doing a big, idea about it, and I'm seeking your footsteps.
Thank you very much. Best of luck to you. Appreciate it.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't know if we were like doing.
Oh,
one
there
by
you
one
are.
Or what's going on? That's embarrassing.
No, you're totally
all right.
fine. You made it first.
Hi, my name is Makita Loney, and it's like I'm like shaking because I never thought I'd ever get to like talk to you. But this is like really cool because I'm a writer also that I started a web series and I didn't get to finish it before I graduated college. So it's like hearing that we kind of went through the same thing is like really exciting because I thought like, oh geez, I'm gonna be like a big failure, like this isn't gonna work. So I decided to like go into copywriting because I love to write and I also love advertising. So I was like, oh hey, I'll put the whole like writing and directing and producing thing on the back burner and just focus on advertising. But I want to know like if you have any advice on how to like pursue like going in. I'm just like a whole ball of nerves right now. I'm sorry.
No, that's great.
And yeah, like sorry, and like I have like all these thoughts and I want to write them and like see them like being like either in books or on the big screen, but I always get nervous because I'm like, okay, well I want to make my main character black, but then I don't know if people will want to watch it or read it or something. And then like I know when I started my web series, my mom was like, oh, your partner in this is white, so of course it's gonna get popular. So it's like there wasn't even like the faith in me just because of my color. So I was wondering if you had any advice on how to like pursue that or move forward because I want to do it so bad, but I don't know how.
I think you're in an industry right now where you have an opportunity to shape the minds and change what people's perceptions are. So, I mean, not necessarily copy editing right now, but if you're moving forward and if you want to direct commercials down the line, if you want to create your own narrative, where brands are involved, if you want to mentor other youth in a way, through your writing, I think that there's so many possibilities where you can make both work. But as a writer, I mean, you don't have to stop producing your own content just because you're doing one thing, you're advertising. And even like when I wanted to pursue law in college at one point, and I always thought that, oh, okay, well, if I'm a lawyer, maybe I could write like creative testimony and I can act out stuff in court. And that didn't work out, but at the same time, I knew that I wasn't gonna put one aside for the other. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out that balance and make it work for you.
Okay.
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Hello, I'm Sam Hicks, and I know one thing that you was talking about that was holding you back was you was talking about your team. You didn't have all of the right aspects of talent. So I think all of us are working on projects, and essentially what's going to make our project successful is the team, having a good team. So what did you use when you found your team? Like, did you source Behance or Craigslist, or what do you do? What kind of platform did you use?
I actually did use Craigslist for actors at one point, and I actually met, for those of you guys watched the series, Boss Lady, the lady who plays that character on Craigslist. And it's so appropriate because she's just that type of person. But otherwise, I really reached out to people that I had met in schools, whether it was high school or it was college, and tried to figure out what role each of them can play. Because the hardest part for me was figuring out what roles I would play, and what I would take a step back in, like what I wasn't good at, what I could realize, oh my gosh, this is not my forte, so I should designate this task or this role to someone else. And so over time, it's very hard to find people that are gonna be as passionate about your vision as you are, but you have to be able to provide them with incentive to continue forward with you, to move forward with you. What are you getting from them, and what are they getting from you? And so I tried to articulate that to each member of my team as we grew together and as we progressed. And through that, I was able to find and isolate what my own role was gonna be. So I think it's important to tap into your personal networks. That's what you're here for. That's why you're at an event like this. You're gonna find like-minded people. You're gonna find team members who share your goals and your vision. But it's also very, very important to be in tune with what it is you want and what you want to do.
Thank you.
Hi, Issa. How are you?
Hey, I keep. Sorry. No, it's you.
Right? Okay, cool. Hi, my name is Stephanie Shakuma. I'm a senior at Queens College. I'm studying English, and I also minor in journalism as well as media studies. And similar to you, I have many different creative interests. I'm interested in being a broadcast journalist. I also rap, and I also am interested in being a copywriter. And you also wear many different hats. I know you're a soon-to-be author, producer, writer, and director, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to know, how do you go about channeling your creativity into so many different outlets, and how do you think we as, I guess, students and people who are coming up in the media industry and the creative industry, how can we be able to basically manage all those different things, and how do you go about getting to those different levels?
I think it's about being organized and, again, tapping into what your priorities are and what it is that you want to do first. So if you are wearing multiple hats and you have a specific project in mind that you want to accomplish, which hats are the priority, which ones need to get done first, which tasks need to be done first. So for me, I have to segment my time a lot. So if it's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's when I'm writing the book, and that's when I'm writing period or scripts, and that's the time dedicated to that. And then 10 to 1, that's the time for production and and meetings and the like. It's really about managing your own time and managing what it is what goals that you have. Because it's really, really hard. You can multitask. You can be, jack of all trades, a master of none if you don't multitask properly. So you should segment it project by project, honestly. And you should have said that if you're a rapper, you should have busted a flow and said this shit. But missed opportunity.
I got you later.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Yalitza Jean Charles. I'm studying illustration at the Rhode Island School of Design.
Amazing.
And I want to thank you for coming here and speaking with us today and sharing your story. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who kind of identify with your experience, including myself. I want to be an art director. I want to be a creative director. And I'm studying at a predominantly white school. And at this school, I make artwork that is specific to my experience that not everybody can relate to. So it's difficult to present that work about race, about gender, about sexuality. And people don't know how to address it, or they go, why are you still talking about race? Or why are you so angry? And they go, angry black woman. And I'm sure you've read the recent article in the New York Times.
I'm so angry about it.
Why are you so angry? What are you angry about? So what would you say to those people who make work about race, where people question you and say, why are you so angry? You're an angry black woman. How can we turn that into a positive?
I mean, honestly, you just have to keep going and do it for you. You have to recognize what you're doing and know that your truth is you're not an angry person. And you can turn it around on them. Why are you so angry? Honestly, it's a matter of being able to articulate your own vision, articulate what it is that, what message that you want to put out there. And people are always going to interpret your message in the wrong way. But as long as you find a supportive audience or a group of people that knows your true intentions, just like everybody, jumped to Shonda's defense to say, no, she's not an angry black woman. You're actually just absolutely misinformed, and you don't watch anything, and you're always wrong as a journalist. But I think that it's really just important to stay true to your own core and constantly put that message out there. Because, you know, even in my own line of work, people tend to get my message wrong or tend to misinterpret what it is I want to say. But you just have to have a core group of people that get it.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reggie Harrison. I'm MFA advertising candidate from Atlanta. I have a question. I know a lot of us are at different sort of stages of our careers, transitioning, entering, or redoing, whatever. What are things that I would say your former self would remind you of now, maybe whether it's, be optimistic about challenges or whatever, and what are things your current self would actually tell and maybe encourage your former self, whether it's, be tenacious, be persistent.
You got to repeat that. So what would my former self?
So you've covered a lot of things in your career, and so I'm sure that at certain stages, you've learned certain things, and so there may be things in your when you first started out that maybe you're not doing anymore, whether it's writing vigorously, whether it's whatever, and maybe it's just being optimistic. But then there may be things that you've learned now, lessons learned, that you would like to tell your former self so that they stay encouraged, so they can still accomplish those things. So I was just kind of curious as to what those things may be on either side.
I guess I can address what I would tell my former self is to just be more confident and secure about my own particular role. And I think especially as a woman of color, I'm constantly told like what I can't do or what people aren't doing or where the doors aren't open for me. And I would honestly just tell myself to ignore that in a way that would make me a bit more confident and more certain about the path that I'm going on. But there are so many things that I've learned just even with working with a team and moving forward and not realizing my own worth and sort of putting others before me in a way that compromised my vision, and that has always bothered me. And that's a lesson that I've learned, where it's okay to have a team and support them and be in one accord, but at the end of the day, you have to have a strict, if you have a goal, there's a select path to get to that goal. And if others are getting in your way and standing in the way of that, you have to constantly focus on that. And so there are a couple of regrets that I've had in the past, just where I've let, maybe other team members get in the way of my vision, and I wouldn't do that again.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, how are you doing? My name is MJ Dawson. I am a brand strategist based out of Los Angeles, California. Much like TV, advertising is also about perception. And in our industry, African American women aren't very well represented in advertising, but with the diversity and inclusion initiatives, things are slowly changing. Right now, I find that we are often siloed in the workplace, almost categorized into a certain type of Black woman. Mm-hmm. And I think it essentially ties back to the images of African American women on TV. We're very siloed, where we have your characters like Olivia Pope, who's very successful, but she's tainted by the fact that she's a mistress to the president. Or you have your Miranda Baileys, who's on Grey's Anatomy, and she's a very successful doctor, but she can't find balance in her home life being a mother and being a good wife. Or you have characters like being Mary Jane, who's a very successful TV executive, but she also can't find a husband or can't find, an opportunity to be wed. And there's these Black women who are extremely successful, but they lack in all these other parts of their life. And then on the other aspect, we have women in reality TV who essentially make a career out of the complete opposite thing, living off of men. One thing you said earlier was that you grew up on images of family and education and things like A Different World and things like The Cosby Show. When it comes to you developing your characters and developing your storylines that represent women of color, do you ever think about incorporating things that make the woman of color seem more holistic as opposed to tainted, much like the perceptions in the media?
Wow, absolutely. Great question, great observations. But yeah, absolutely, because that's my truth, and that's who I surround myself with. And so I get why those images are popular on television. They're very flawed individuals, and there are a lot of women that can relate to those depictions. And at the other end of the spectrum, the image that I have to offer and the image that I represent or the images that I create, there are people that relate to that too. So I think it's not an issue that those images exist, but it's an issue that there's no balance just yet. But I'm optimistic that we're getting there. And whether it's me, whether it's some of the content creators that I work with, or content creators that I'm fans of, I know that image those images are starting to get more well-rounded, and there is hope that things will change in the future. But you're absolutely right. And you as advertisers, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 in that sometimes those images are perpetuated by the media and advertisements, but it's about who's going to come out and create a different narrative and shape the perceptions of the next generation.
Yeah, I agree that our industries have way more synergy than what we kind of admit to. So I think if we align ourselves to kind of work together holistically to kind of bridge that gap, I think will be a more progressive timeline for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hello, Issa.
Hello.
My name is George. I am an MBA student concentrating in marketing at Monroe College, and your YouTube series was really successful. I was wondering, like, when you were just starting off, and it was just you and your friends, like, how did you successfully build your audience? Like, what did you do to really expand?
I was working at it for a long time. Like I said, Awkward Black Girl was my third web series, and that's the one that took off the ground. But before then, I was taking steps to try to build an audience. So it all started with Facebook. And Facebook, started off in a few colleges initially, and then it grew. And then it became, open to high schoolers, and then it became international. And when it became international, I'm half Senegalese, and so I started adding all of my cousins, and I started typing in all the Senegalese last names, because there are like 2, and adding everybody. And from that point, I started building a Facebook audience and still trying to put funny stuff on Facebook via notes, and really engaging with these strangers who became my online friends. And then started a blog, a film blog about how I felt about the industry, and would do news and would filter that to Facebook. And so that would sort of grow, and people from Facebook would go to that blog. And then on that film blog, I was complaining so much about what wasn't there that someone was like, you should just create your own stuff and shut up. And so I was like, you're right. And so YouTube, of course, grew, and started putting my stuff on YouTube and slipping it into my blog as I was talking about film, and getting my audience on the blog, Facebook, and then the YouTube audience to grow simultaneously. So by the time I got to Awkward Black Girl, I had a base of about 10,000, and then continued to just do grassroots style promoting and engaging, other content creators and audience members that have been supporting my work, and really was just adamant about trying to grow. And then even reaching out to various bloggers who I thought fit my demographic. And so it was a constant, not necessarily promotion, but constant engagement with people with trying to find like-minded people to support the content. And that was probably a 6-year process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just please
Thank you.
give a huge, I think I might need a little bit of a larger applause for Issa. How impressive is she? Incredible, and thank you. I can't thank you enough. That was just amazing. What we're gonna do now, she's not leaving, although she is gonna fly back to LA at some point. That was an awkward moment, wasn't it? Awkward. She tried to leave the stage. But we're gonna get set up for the next panel, and you're not gonna wanna miss this panel. It's Breaking In. And David Lubar's, so many panelists, William Burke Spencer, Greg Johnson, Chloe Gottlieb, Nisha Tweed, who I just adore, and my Jake from GSD&M. They're all gonna come out here and share what they know about breaking into the industry. So they're gonna set up the stage. Don't go too far. We're gonna be right back. And please, 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 one more time, Issa Rae.